Hi everybody, I'm Brian and today we're going to do a contest and it's MGK Boston's push to 3 trillion subscribers. And so we're going to do everything we can in our power to make that happen. Now, part of the rules was that if you were able to do it with somebody else, have another person in your video, then you could get 2 entries. How about that? So I've called upon the services of our former Australian Prime Minister and current Ambassador to the United States, Kevin Rudd. Give him a hand, everybody. Anyway, Kevin, hope you're doing really well today. And this is like the 8th wonder of the world. It's Kevin with his mouth shut. Anyway, we're going to get on with this contest very soon. And we're looking forward to going through the prompts today. And we've got some good answers and some good vinyl. So let's get into it. The finger snaps, Kevin, the finger snaps. Come on. Here we go. The first prompt from MGK Boston is about vacations and where you would like to go on vacation or where you do go on vacation. And I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time in London over my life. And before the pandemic, I probably went there for about a month every year, going to lots of theatre, lots of shows and gigs and picking up vinyl. And when I think of London, I just automatically go to this album by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. It's called Architecture and Morality. And it has inspired a couple of my own albums. And I know they're not from London, they're from Liverpool. I get that, but I bought it at Sister Ray's. I'm just going to cover your face for a moment, Kevin. But I bought it from Sister Ray's for a friend of mine's daughter who never listened to it. So we organized a SWAT team to do a stealth mission to go and get it back. All right, I'll choose something else if you can't have London. How about this? If you're into trip hop, this is an album by a band called Archive called Londinium. Are you happy now? I know it's not spelt the same way, but you know, Londinium was the capital of Roman Britain back in the day. So if you love trip hop, then you're really going to dig this. It's a great double album with a gatefold. And I sort of got into this album when I was doing a deep dive into trip hop. And I found out that one of my heroes, Carl Hyde from Underworld, was playing bass on one of the songs, Headspace, I think it is. Great song to open up with old artist, when they really sort of throw the kitchen sink of esoteric electronica at us. And there's a violin there which gives us a sense of going directly to the bazaar in the middle of Cairo, a bazaar in the middle of Cairo. Fantastic. And there's his voice which sort of underpins everything, saying love, peace, and happiness all the way through. Great songs like All Time, the instrumental Man Made's great, and the ballad that finishes the song, Nothing Else, is also superb. Really recommend that to you. If you like sort of Massive Attack and Estero, this is a great album for you to get into. Next up, we have Name a Solo Artist Everyone Seems to Love But You Can't Stand. Well, you know, one of the things I pride myself on not pride myself, but I'm happy about on my channel is that I believe that everybody should be into any type of music they like. So there's not really anybody I absolutely... Oh, Kevin has somebody. Speak up. Bruce Springsteen, my God. Tell me why, Kevin. Because when Born in the USA came out, it was a ubiquitous and was playing everywhere. And then he released that 5 LP box set of Live 75 to 85. And you even went to a party where there wasn't any sort of partying going on. Everybody just sat down and listened to it. And it made you go, "Arr!" like this. So much so that you even wrote a parody of I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen, which sounds a little bit like this.
Oh, little Bruce, you've had so many hits, and everyone sounds like shit.
Okay. I've got nothing against Bruce Springsteen. He's just not my sort of bag. And I think he's probably a genius, writes brilliant lyrics, and he works for the man. So if you love Bruce, more power to you. Let's go to the next one. A band that everyone seems to love, but you can't stand. I can't go past... Well, I don't hate them. The band themselves. I mean, the reason behind that is because of their influence, I think, that they had. I mean, music from Big Pink and the band, they're great albums with some killer songs on it. I mean, The Wait is one of the most brilliant songs ever written. But then they sort of influenced everybody to go rural and rustic and sort of put down the psychedelia and the progressive rock and go back into sort of that Americana feel. And I'm into the progressive and the psychedelic. And so it's more a case of their influence rather than the music themselves, because they are an incredibly great band, no doubt about that. Okay, so next one is show a jazz album. Kevin, Jazz by Queen. That's your choice of jazz album, is it? No, it's not all about the poster inside, which I can't show on YouTube because I'll get. Oh, I think I showed too much there already, which I can't show on YouTube. It doesn't even have any jazz on it. Oh, there you go. It has more of that jazz. So that's what you're going to go with, is it? Well, allow me to put up an album, and I'm going to champion a band from Australia called Crossfire. And this band's sort of around the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure. Going for quite a while. Did about 4 or 5 albums, but they're sort of jazz rock fusion with impeccable playing, unbelievable. They're so good that when Michael Franks toured Australia, that he just picked them up as his backing band. Really recommend this to you. Some great players on here as well. We have Jim Kelly, the legendary Jim Kelly on guitars. Michael J. Kenny is a magnificent keyboard player, and both of those guys generally write the songs. Tony Buchanan on sax, Ian Bloxham on percussion, Steve Hope's on drums, and the mercurial, the amazing, I don't know how you'd even better describe him, Phil Scorgi on bass, who is an absolute phenomenon. So if you haven't had any sort of jazz from Australia, I really recommend those Crossfire to you, and you can find them fairly cheap, although the postage might be a bit if you're ordering them from overseas. Now MGK Boston, here was the tricky one, which was number 5, and it's show a country and western album. Now I'm not into country or western or country and western. It's just not my bag. But I was racking my brain as to how I was going to answer this question, and then I realized there was one country and western artist that I really do get some joy out of, and that is this man. It's Chris Christopherson, and this is a compilation, Songs of Chris Christopherson, which I took a very, very long train ride up to Sydney to be able to get this copy. It cost me all of $10, but it's got all the hits on it, and it's a real classic. I think he's a poet. He's a genius in terms of the way he strings together words. And my favorite song of his, and one of my favorite songs of all time, is Sunday Morning Coming Down. On a Sunday morning sidewalk, wishing, Lord, that I was stoned. Because there's something in a Sunday that makes the body feel alone. Because there's nothing short of dying half as lonesome as the sound of the sleeping city sidewalk and Sunday morning coming down. You know all about that, wouldn't you, Kevin? Yep. Aye, keeping a straight face here, are you? All right, there we go. Okay. So next question is, strange VC question here, but who is your favorite sports team or athlete of all time? Well, if you didn't already know, my favorite team of all time is the San Francisco Giants. There we are. And I've lived through the 3 World Series that we got in 10, 12, and 14. And great memories indeed. But my favorite athlete of all time is a guy who used to play right field for them and hit some dingers over the fence, and it's Hunter Pence. I love Hunter Pence so much that in 2016, I booked a trip to San Francisco where I was going to see them play 6 times in a row, even booked my seats down in right field, some of them. So I was able to see Hunter, and we we're going to play the Phillies, we we're going to play the Athletics. And about a month before I was going, Hunter did his hamstring and didn't play in any of the games that I saw over there. And we lost 4 of them and only won 2. Still, it was a great trip. But Hunter, you're a legend, and I got so much entertainment and enjoyment out of watching you play. So that's my favorite athlete and my favorite team. Share a concert memory. I'm going to go way back when, and I'm not even sure when the year was, probably about 1982. And I was at a little pub called the San Miguel Hotel in Camaray, and I was going to see this band, the Hitmen. Johnny Canis there on lead vocals, absolutely superb. What a singer. And then we had this guy, Brad Shepard, who was on the second guitar and supporting Chris the Klondike Kid Mazuak, who was the lead guitarist. Anyway, on the show that I saw them play at the San Miguel Hotel in Camaray, for some reason, all they did throughout the whole night was put custard pies, cream pies into Brad Shepard's face and pour drinks over his head, vodka and stuff like that, I assume. And they really gave him a hard time. And I thought, gee, it must be hard to be in the Hitmen. And but no, that's just what was going on that night. But the very next night, I went to see the Hoodoo Gurus play at the Mossman Hotel. And who should you know walk into the hotel but Brad Shepard. And I was thinking, what's he doing here? Surely the Hitmen have a gig. Well, the previous night at the San Miguel Hotel was Brad's last gig with the Hitmen, and his first gig was at the Mossman Hotel with the Hoodoo Gurus, and this was the first single that he played on, Tojo. And there he is right there. And so that's him with his new band, the Hoodoo Gurus. I mean, I recommend both bands to you. I bet you probably know who the Hoodoo Gurus are, but if you like hard rock and you've never heard this album by the Hitmen, I heartily recommend it to you. It is a stonker. It just goes hard from start to finish with some really funny lyrics and just great attitude. And some of these guys even played in the seminal Australian hard rock band Radio Birdman, and sort of that influence of Birdman goes into these guys' songs. So really recommend that one to you. That's the Hitmen. It's the self-titled debut, and it's their best album by a mile, I feel. Okay, number 8. Shout out to a newer vinyl community member. And this one's really easy for me because I'm going to shout out Dave. Hi, Dave, at Fidelity. He has a great channel. He's the nicest guy. He's funny. He's down to earth, and he puts up some amazing records for us to have a listen to. And one thing I also like is that he always responds to comments, and he's got great ideas, and he's very supportive for a new guy on the block. I mean, new guy is about 3 months shorter in terms of vinyl community residence than I am. He's just an absolute blast. And so Dave at Fidelity, rock on, man, because you are the best. Champion. Excellent. Now, prompt 9. Show an album by a Canadian artist. Kev, you got this one? I can't really hold that one up. I know you're Kevin and you're here to help, but still. Okay, here's Kevin's choice. Boards of Canada, The Campfire Head Phase. This is an outstanding album. There's only one thing wrong with it. I really recommend this album. But there's only one thing wrong with it, and that's they're not from Canada, Kev. They're from Scotland. So how can we say they're a band from Canada? I know, like jazz in Canada, you've got this weird obsession with bands with their names in the name of a country in the title, or jazz, the genre, whatever you want to say. I'm going to go for another one, and this is, again, one of my very favorite albums. Is anybody having problems like I am and you just can't stop looking at Kevin? Because I think I should be looking at the camera like I hopefully am now, but then my eyes just get torn away to look at Kevin. He had that effect on people. He was sneaky. I'm going to go with one of my favorite albums of all time, and it is Give Yourself a Hand by the Crash Test Dummies. If you haven't heard this album, I know that everybody's familiar with Coffee Spoons in Afternoons, or is it the other way around? And but this is a brilliant album. And my only detraction from this album, the only thing that doesn't give me a lot of satisfaction, is when Keep a Lid on Things came out as a single. There were 2 tracks on the CD single, and one was called Filter Queen and the other was Candyman. And I think those are absolute corkers that should have been on this album as well. But still, got all that sense of humor. They're sort of going into a more modern trip-hop-ish sound, definitely, I would say. And I love this album from start to finish. Particularly the song Just Shoot Me, Baby. And the lyrics there, just don't feed me with no tube, or change my dirty diaper. If I'm back on mommy's boob, call in the frickin' snipers and just shoot me, baby. It's a great album. Crash Test Dummies. Give yourself a hand. Do yourself a favor. And I'm keep talking to Kevin. Do yourself a favor and get onto it. And finally, happy birthday. Well, you're a lot older than me, and we don't have any albums. What do we got to do? We've got to, just overshooting that one a little. We've got to show an album that was came out in the year that you were born. And I was about to say that, Kevin, I don't have any albums that came out in the year that you were born. And I was really pushing to find one here that I had, because I was born in 1965, and there's some great albums of that year, but I just don't have any since I've started rebuilding my vinyl collection, except for this, B.B. King, live at the Regal. And to put it in his own words, he is absolutely wailing on this album. This is just an absolute classic of the blues. It's seen a bit of life and a bit of love, this album. It sort of pulls apart very easily. Very easy to get to the vinyl, I find, on the Pickwick label. But there's some great songs. Every Day I Have the Blues. It's my own fault. and You Upset Me Baby. But my favorite song on this album by a mile is How Blue Can You Get? I gave you a brand new Ford. You said, I want a Cadillac. I bought you a $10 dinner, and you said, thanks for the snack. I let you live in my penthouse. You said it was just a shack. I gave you 7 children, and now you want to give them back. Whoa. Absolutely amazing album. And I initially picked this album up because it was rated 5 stars in Rolling Stone's record guide back in the day, and I was trying to get into some blues, and that's what I chose. I mean, I think if I haven't got it with me, but I think if Kevin was probably going to choose anything, he'd probably choose Lightning Hopkins' Lightning Strikes album, because in your case, Kevin, it struck twice. You became Prime Minister twice, and you got dumped twice. But anyway, I'd like to thank you, Kevin, for coming along, having a laugh with us. That's Kevin having a laugh. And I'd also really like to thank MGK Boston for putting the contest together. It's been a lot of fun, and I've had to actually go out and buy an album to get into it. And I really enjoyed doing that. Chris Christopherson, more power to the man. Check out Cisco Pike. Cool video. It also features Gene Hackman. It's on YouTube at the moment. But enough about that. Hope you've had fun doing this and watching along with me, and you've got some pleasure out of it. And remember, if music of any size, shape, style, or substance gives you pleasure, then who are we to argue with your opinion? Until next time, don't forget, give us a like or maybe subscribe, because we both know you want to, don't we, Kev? But until that time comes along where we meet you next time, make sure you're staying safe, be cool, and from both of us, bye now.